sold out screenings in Geneva and other areas. Now, there's been a backlash.
What's up mga ka-immortal? Ayan si Direk Daryl Yap. Nako, nagagalit ngayon. Dyan sa Switzerland, mayroong pong foreigner dyan na gumawa ng video dahil daw yung Made in Malacañang ay sold out na dyan sa schedule ng screening. Sold out na po siya. Pero nga lang, pinigilan po itong ipapalabas. May pumipigil. Ayaw ipalabas yung Made in Malacañang dyan sa mga sinihan. Sa lahat ng mga sinihan, iniisa-isa yan. At pinipigilang ipalabas. Sino kaya ito? Ay, alam nyo na kung sino. Hindi po talaga pumipigil sila ngayon. Talagang haharangin nila yung mga bagay na pwedeng magising po yung mga kababayan po natin dyan sa Switzerland. Kung ano po yung mga totoong nangyari sa Marcos family at kay Apulakay, kung ano po yung totoong kwento nangyari noon. Ngayon po, ito po yung video. Panoorin po natin yan at grabe, nakakalungkot po talaga na hanggang ngayon hindi pa rin sila tumitigil. Pero hindi po tayo magpapatalo. Marami po tayo kaysa kanila, kaya 6 years silang gaganyan-ganyan para pa sa susunod na eleksyon, paghahanda nila yan. Bakit pa tayo magpapatalo? Kailangan nating protektahan yung presidente natin. At yung paglabas ng katotohanan, kailangan nating ilabas po yan. Okay, ito po yung video.
Hello, everybody. I hate to go to social media about this, but I'm asking for the help of Filipinos around the world. You know, this is the situation. As everybody knows, I'm a big fan of Maid in Malacañang. I think it's such an important story about the last 3 days or the last 72 hours of the Marcos family in the presidential palace. This is a film by director Daryl Yap. And, you know, having watched this film, I think it's about 6 times and counting. You know, I'm absolutely touched by the story. You know, I'm very moved by this to be told. You know, it's very significant. Now, I've been in contact with the Filipino community in Switzerland. And, you know, the thing that gets me is this. They have been promoting this movie now for quite a while. And from what I understand is they have sold out screenings in Geneva and other areas. Now, there's been a backlash in that these people who talk about freedom of speech, these people who talk about democracy, these people who talk about human rights are campaigning against this movie in Switzerland. This group, you know, as far as I understand, the group of the ICC, the group of Jomar Sisson, the group of Maria Ressa and all her supporters are based in Geneva. And from what I understand, a group of people have written a letter to just about every single cinema in Switzerland asking them to ban the screening of Maid in Malacañang. This is an absolute affront to democracy. This is an absolutely against freedom of speech. It's perfectly okay to hear the narrative of Cory Aquino and that time and what happened, you know, this cat-tips or whatever, but yet people are not allowed to hear the other side. People are not allowed to hear the other side of the story. This is something that's really angered me. You know, the people in Switzerland, Filipinos in Switzerland, OFWs, you know, people working in Switzerland are being deprived this story. The Filipino community in Switzerland is being deprived the experience of going to the cinema, the experience of watching this very important film. You know, this is what you call a dictatorship. A dictatorship is following a certain line and not being allowed freedom of speech. You know, these very same people who say they're for freedom of speech, they keep on talking about human rights, they keep on talking about their narrative, and yet they won't allow this film to be screened. I'm sure they'll think it's perfectly okay for cat-tips to be screened, but when it comes to the other side, when it comes to the real story, the true story, and the reason why I say that is this. You know, Maid in Malacañang is based on the experiences of the 3 maids. 3 maids and the household, and of course, Senator Amy Marcos. You know, they were there at the time. Why are they not allowed to express their version of events? Why are they not allowed to show what exactly happened at the time? You know, as far as I see it, those last 72 frightening, must have been absolutely terrible, must have been absolutely scary. You know, if you'd have been there at the time and you'd have people surrounding the presidential palace, people climbing over the gate or whatsoever they did, people trying to storm the palace, you know, how scary would that have been if you'd have been one of the people in the palace at the time? This is a story that needs to be told. And unfortunately, because of these haters, because of these people who are against freedom of speech, because of these people who are against democracy, that story cannot be told anywhere in Switzerland whatsoever. So my appeal today is quite simple. I am looking for a cinema in Switzerland. I'm looking for a venue. I'm looking for a benefactor who would find a large auditorium or a large theatre or a large hall in Switzerland who would be prepared to show the movie and would not listen to this bias narrative, you know, these lies by the opposition. I'm looking for a kind-hearted, maybe Filipino or a kind-hearted person who will allow the screening of this movie. And of course, this particular venue needs to have the capability to be able to screen the movie in a cinematic format. For example, this is an encrypted film. So meaning to say you need specialist equipment to be able to show this. And, you know, I'm asking for the help of Filipinos in Switzerland. I'm asking for all of my social media friends to share this, to basically get this story out there. You know, why is it right that there is only a one-sided narrative? Why is it right that the likes of the people who are supporting Maria Ressa, ICC, Jomar Sisson, why is it right that their narrative is the only narrative that can be heard? You know, as I said, they talk about freedom of speech, they talk about democracy, but they are not allowing people freedom of choice. You know, I've watched this movie so many times now, and what I can say is it really touches people's hearts. In the times that I've watched it, the 6 times that I've watched it, I've cried every single time. You know, it's so emotional. It's such an important story. You know, Filipinos in Switzerland work hard. You know, they deserve the opportunity to watch this film. And as I said, the issue is this. In Switzerland, this nasty group of people who are against democracy, against human rights, this nasty group of people have been incredibly vindictive, and they have written to nearly all of the cinemas in Switzerland. You know, this particular film was sold out in 3 or 4 cities across Switzerland. And this particular group have basically banned this movie. And I'm utterly disgusted. You know, this is not fair. You know, this is an affront to democracy. This is an affront to human rights. And this is meaning that, you know, you can only hear one side of the story. You know, they talk about people only hearing the Marcos side of the story. They talk about all this biased news. They're calling it fake news. You know, why not let the Filipino people decide? Why not allow people the opportunity to hear both sides? To all of these people who are in these camps, who are against democracy, I challenge you, I say this to you. If you're so concerned about showing Maid in Malacañang, what have you got to hide? Why is this so important to you? If you are so concerned about showing Maid in Malacañang, you know what? Why not do both? Why not screen Maid in Malacañang, and then why not screen your movie, Katips, straight after? Why is it right that you can show Katips, but you can't show Maid in Malacañang? This is probably one of the most important social media posts I have ever made. This is a campaign that I'm lending my name to because I feel incredibly sorry for these organisers in Switzerland. They've gone to so much hard work, so much effort, even a financial outlay to get a license to screen this movie, and then people want to ban this movie in Switzerland. Why is it right that the people of Switzerland, the good, hard-working Filipinos in Switzerland, don't get the opportunity to watch this movie? I would ask you all to share this live, and I would ask you all to find out if there are any venues in Switzerland who would be prepared to screen this movie. For example, someone that has the capacity to screen a cinema film. This is something that's so important, you know. And before I end this live, I'd just like to say, you know, I'd like to thank Direct Daryl Yap personally. I'd like to thank him for telling the real story. I'd like to thank him for enlightening us. I'd like to thank him for bringing the story of the Marcos family, sharing such an important story. I'd like to thank Viva Films and, of course, Vincentiments and, of course, the office of Senator Amy Marcos. Let the Filipino people judge. Let the Filipino people watch this film. Don't ban this film. It's utterly disgusting and utterly deplorable, and a affront on human rights and affront on democracy. You know, the human rights of Filipinos who should be able to watch this. They are being denied that human right, that freedom of speech, that freedom of expression. They are being denied that by the very people who are the likes of the ICC, Maria Ressa, Joe Marcison, or whatsoever. You know, these kind of groups, these kind of interfering, meddling Filipinos have really been disgusting. You know, they've written to various cinemas in Switzerland, and they've gone ahead and they've tried to ban this film. In fact, they've successfully banned this film. Well done to them. Thank you for making Filipinos in Switzerland unhappy. You know, hardworking Filipinos in Switzerland can no longer enjoy the film that we've watched in the UK. It's been pretty much shown in every place in the world except for Switzerland. This is supposed to be the home of human rights, the home of democracy, you know, Geneva, you know, all these important places, and yet a film is being banned, a light-hearted comedy film which shows the real story of the last 72 hours of the palace is being banned in Switzerland. I am asking for a benefactor who has a large auditorium in Switzerland to hopefully screen this film. I've tagged Mam Sonia in this, and I've tagged Direct Daryl Yap. You know, let's do something about this. Let's try and get this movie screened. Maraming salamat po. I'm sorry, guys, for getting so upset. But having fallen in love with this movie, having watched this movie so many times, I believe this is such an important movie, such an important story. And I would ask you all to share this live and please help us out. Maraming salamat po, mabuhay Pilipinas, maraming salamat po sa Daryl Yap, and of course to Vincentiments, and of course to Viva Films, and everyone behind this story. Let's hope this film is screened in Switzerland. If not, let's find a way of the good, hard-working Filipinos of Switzerland to be able to watch this film. Maraming salamat po, mabuhay, please share. Maraming salamat po.
O, di ba? Sa mga humaharang dyan, mga pink ina nyo, lumaban kayo ng patas. Hindi yung, tignan yung ginagawa nyo. Karapatan ng mga tao na kung gustong manood dyan, manood. Di ba? Tingnan nyo naman, oh. Hindi nyo ba alam na kayo po yung napapahiya dyan sa ginagawa nyo? O kagaya nyan. Di ba? Ako po. Alam po natin, talagang gagawa ng paraan yung mga yan para pigilan po yung mga yung mga totoong mga pangyayari noon. Dati kasi yung 30 years na hawak nilang gobyerno, hindi talaga napapakinggan ang side ng mga Marcos. Ngayon pa lang, ngayon pipigilan na nila yan at pipigilan. Pero okay lang, marami naman tayo na pwedeng ilabas yan. At tuloy-tuloy po tayong suportahan yan. At kung anong masasabi niyo po sa mga pinagagawa nila dyan sa Switzerland, comment po tayo dyan mga ka-immortal sa ating comment section. Hanggang dito na lang. Thank you. Bye-bye.